Hello, welcome to another edition of the preview/review show. I'm your host, Commissioner and League Champion, Samuel T. Wood. Welcome back, another great week. We're getting really close now to the playoffs, looking really exciting. Sadly, I'm going to have to begin on a bit of a negative note. Obviously today you've seen the rumours and seen the tweets and posts about possible trade between Mr. Brunning and Mr. George Ashley, who is apparently back in the game. Who knew it? I wanted to talk to you today about what transpired. I received a text this morning from Mr. Brunning, basically saying that he wants this trade pushed through, no questions asked. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to tell the commissioner what he has offered Mr. Ashley apart from players. The offer he made to Mr. Ashley originally was for Brandon Cooks, who's on season-ending IR, and Cam Newton. I mean, what on earth does he think he's trying to achieve by doing that? It's a ridiculous offer, one that we would never allow in this league simply because it is unfair. Mr. Ashley accepting that for personal gain or financial gain, we know that now. We move forward, and then he's made another offer trade which you've seen I've obviously vetoed, which is for Stephen Jackson and Anquan Boldham. Again, this is for the best running back in the league right now. Mr. Brunning is taking this league down a path that we can't have. We've had several conversations, which I will be releasing full transcripts of immediately tonight. He's threatened, tried to blackmail, and used every tactic under the sun to try and get me to let this trade go through. Finally, he told me what the full trade was. He's willing to accept any trade next year between him and Ashley. He will accept. I mean, you ask yourself whether you think this is fair or not, or right, because I certainly don't, and I don't want to see this trade go through. But I have told Mr. Brunning, if Mr. Ashley accepts this trade, I will not veto it. I will leave it, and I'll probably leave it to Commissioner Willis to make the decision on that. It's a real shame because I think it ruins the league this year. I think it would be interesting. I think this means that Browning's obviously got a massive advantage he doesn't deserve, shouldn't have, and it's wrong. He's not even offered draft picks. He's offered a trade, any trade next year. So that means George could take his whole team next year for one player. I mean, it's an absolute nonsense, and Mr. Browning should be ashamed of himself. Moving on from that, I've decided that for next season we will hold an election. We'll have a poll. An election to vote for commissioner next year. I feel this is the right thing to do after the scandals. I'm a Democrat. I'm a liberal. You know, John F. Kennedy's my hero. I'm not a dictator. I've been accused of that, so I'm bringing in 4 elections next year. I will, however, remain as lifetime president and owner of the league, and a team owner as well. As lifetime president, I will oversee the league. If not successful, excuse me, in my re-election campaign. But moving on now to the serious stuff this year. We'll have more on the elections later, but for now, let's concentrate on football and doing what's right. This week, great games, some really close ones. We'll start off with the infamous Mr. Brunning going up against Simon Kay. Very tight game, 147 to 146. I've got the scores here, and some of the players on here are very good scores. You're looking at Jamal Charles, 35 points. We like Jamal. We agreed with first pick, and he's starting to show that. AJ Green looks like he's back. Brandon Marshall, part of the big trade between Kay and Wood, finally put some points up for Simon. I think he's happy. Excuse me, with his trade. Now I think he's got a couple of players in TY and Brandon, and this is a lost season for Si. He did pick up a 3rd round pick off Wood, but he gave up his 4th in the trade for Alfred Morris, so he may have picked up 1 place in the draft if Wood does win the league again this year, which he's got a chance of. So we'll see how that goes for Mr. K. I think Mr. K's a kid next year. He's a next year guy now. Moving on, we move to the Seahawks going up against Craig. Natural disaster. I mean, Craig was giving it a bit about the low scores this week, and then he's only going to put up 144, which is an okay score. And Charles has blown him out by having just Le'Veon Bell in there. He's taking it for Charles. It's a great pick this year. I wish I had Le'Veon Bell, I'll be honest. Le'Veon Bell is a player this year. But his whole team looks a bit weak, you know. Bennett, Cobb did okay, I suppose. Julio Jones did average. Shady's not been good enough for him. That's a big disappointment. As a fan of Shady from last year, it's a shame. But Craig's 7-4, Charles is 7-4. They're all in the running for the title, but they've got to be careful they don't drop out of the top 4. Just because you want to be looking for that bye week, I guess, for the top 2, that is. So you've got to keep pushing here, and you've got to try and find a couple of wins. As there's another player, Mr. Wood and Mr. Thomas Smith went head-to-head this week. Wood was in desperation mode after just tightening Jimmy Graham. Just didn't get him enough. 5 points really hurt him. You know, his running backs look solid. Alfred Morris got 17 and Eddie Lacy got 27 nearly. So he's looking really solid at running back now. His wide receivers are starting to let him down a little bit. You know, Calvin needs to start putting consistent big numbers up. He needs his #1 pick to come good. And, you know, I think the biggest news for Wood and the most exciting thing is that he's got Mr. Josh Gordon. Finally, he's had him on his bench for weeks now, and finally he's got the guy he wanted, and he's straight in the starting team as his flex for now. And I think this could be his X factor. If it is his X factor, he could go on and win this. He's got a strong team. As for Mr. Smith, he lacks ambition. He lacks risk. He's just plodding along. He needs to take a gamble somewhere if he wants to win it. He's 140. He's got him to win, but it's not going to win him anything in the playoffs. I mean, I know he's scared of one player in particular in the playoffs, and if he wants to beat him, he needs to put up bigger numbers than this. Lastly, a bit of a joke match. Hume must have been on holiday. Low score, 122. George's Colts, the infamous Colts, now back making trades, 121. George had players on the bye week in there. Simple as, if he wouldn't have, he would have won. Simple as. Ollie got extremely lucky this week to even have a win. He's rocking at the moment. I think he's struggling to stay in that top 4, stay in the hunt for top 2. If he falls out of it, he's going to have a tough run to win the playoffs. Very interesting week. We'll now move on to week 12, where we see Wood going up against the Colts. He's going to have an easier week now that DeMarco Murray's apparently on his way. He's got a full team out early doors, 6 o'clock. He's got everyone out apart from Jimmy Graham. I think that's a tactical move. I think he'll be buying players again if he needs to. He's covering himself. He wants to be in the running for the top 2. He wants to win the season. He wants the regular season title more than he wants the playoff title this year, if I'm being brutally honest. But we'll see how that goes. Colts are back in it. They've had a couple of good games, 4 and 7. If he's going to take it seriously, he might get in the playoffs. If not, he can forget about it. That's the way it goes. Next, natural disaster. Thomas Smith. Tough one. Quay's got some nice players in that team. You know, he's got some very good players in that team. Gronk, Larry could come good. I mean, he's picked up Reggie Wayne, who Wood dropped. I think from what Wood said, he just doesn't trust Reggie Wayne in his lineup at all. He's Craig's at WR1. It's an interesting choice. He's obviously got Peyton. He's got a couple of really nice running backs, but they're sort of not big names, which is what I like about Craig. He's picking up players on form, and it's working. Worked last year, it's working this year. Tom, he needs to play like he got very lucky last week with Mike Evans. So lucky with that 42 points from a rookie. He needs that kind of performance again. He's 5 and 6, so he could get back in the running. If he beats Craig's 7 and 5, and Tom will be 6 and 6. He's only 1 game behind him. Then that's tight. That's tough to be at the top and then start dropping, start getting caught, as I know. So we'll see how that goes. Next game, I don't even want to talk about this one. I like Ollie. I'm just going to say Ollie's going to win this one hopefully and smash him. You know, the other guy is a clown and he deserves to be ashamed of his actions today. Lastly, this is a good match. The 2 and 9, 50 Shades of K. I don't know what the shades are. Are they shit, dirt, rubbish? So it's just like a brown dirt colour. They're just all shades of that, grey, dark colours, because they're certainly not performing at the moment. I mean, his team's a bit of a mess. He's got the worst running backs I think I've ever seen as starters. I mean, I can't understand what he thinks he's doing, but I'm going to go with the Charles win. It's simple, really. It's a simple choice, and it's it's one that sees Simon plummet to all-time lows. I know Simon's going to address this season on a video post soon, and I look forward to seeing what he's got to say for his shambolic season. Anyway, that is it for this week. It's a short one, only 10 minutes. We'll move into more detail on the election and on the trade. I will do a typed post later tonight. All I can say is I'm deeply disappointed that I'm having to, ruin what we feel is a fluid league and have an election just simply to please one person who is calling me a dictator. And yeah, you wanna have a go? Come on then, have a go, Mr. Brennan. Come and try and be commissioner. Come and play the game, because you won't win this, I promise you, because you will mess this job up. Anyway, thank you very much and goodbye.